Hello and welcome to the latest instalment of Football Talk. I am your host, Josh Call, and alongside me is, all the way from Singapore, David Nichols. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, sir. I'm very good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, thank you. Very wet and windy in the UK at the moment. Got woken up last night with how abysmal the weather's been. We've seen with conditions, so much so that, well, not the UK, but the world is suffering at the moment because the Play Boca game had to get cancelled, didn't it?
I, s-
Postponed.
I saw that. Yeah, I was reading that the River Boca Copa Libertadores Cup final was postponed, and it's the sort of thing you don't really hear of, is it? A big cup final being postponed, but it must have been
No,
bad.
it was where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, an interesting one.
We'll have to catch up on that. But yeah, so this week, Dave, what's been caught your eye in the news, and what can you discuss with us today?
Well, I mean, a big thing that struck me, Jadon Sancho again, obviously firing Dortmund. I think was it two goals he scored or two assists or something. It might have been two assists, I think, against Bayern Munich, where they came Dortmund coming from behind and beating Bayern Munich in a 5-goal thriller. And Jadon Sancho being very influential in the game, apparently. So, we called him out at the beginning of the podcast, Josh, when we started doing this, and he seems to be really making steps in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, and it's good to see. I mean, I saw he was linked with PSG during the week. So he just needs to stay playing his football, and I bet he's. In my head, surely this has gone a lot better than he had hoped earlier than he thought. Because I mean, he's still so young, and he's making such an impact already. He must be thrilled with how it's going. Really, what I
Yeah,
found funny was because obviously Dortmund, Atletico played each other again during the week, but they had very similar games. Both were goals down. Both came back to win 3-2 with last goal. So that was quite a nice parallel there.
yeah, nice. Yeah, very nice indeed. I mean, the whole Bundesliga sort of caught my eye a little bit this week because you've got, I mean, the top four looks a little bit strange, really. You got Borussia Dortmund top, and then Borussia Mönchengladbach in second, and Bayern Munich are currently in third, 7 points off top spot after playing the same amount of games. So, they could drop down to fourth if Red Bull Leipzig win their game in hand. So, in fact, they could drop down to fifth. Yeah, fifth if Frankfurt win their game in hand. So, what's going on at Bayern Munich? Normally, it's just you look at the table, and every year it's Man City top of ours, but Bayern Munich top of the Bundesliga, Juventus top of Serie A, and PSG top of France. I mean, what's going on at Bayern Munich?
Yeah, it must be very good for 17 of the other 18 Bundesliga clubs because it must be just boring to have, and it is boring to have winning year after year. So the fact that it looks like there's going to be either a title challenge from Dortmund or just a different winner it helps variety, doesn't it? So yeah, I think a lot of welcome there, and obviously it's the new manager this season, Kovac for Bayern Munich, probably not going as well. I mean, we've said it earlier in this podcast around the aging nature of this Bayern Munich squad, and it's just you feel like you sell Douglas Costa, but you keep Ribery and Robben. It seems like the wrong way around. It doesn't seem like future planning, does it?
Yeah, it does. It's sort of like it's the complete opposite what you do on Football Manager. Like on Football Manager, you would sell your stars like Robin and Ribery. You'd sell them for loads of money, knowing they're coming to the end of their career, and you'd cash in before their value goes, and bring up someone like Douglas Costa or there's another guy they had. Is it Kingsley Coman who went to Juventus? I think he was
Still have him. Yeah, still
yeah,
Kingsley Coman. Yeah,
is he still there? Is he? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's just a bit strange because Robin and Ribery have been, well, sort of past it for a while, I guess, but.
I mean, they're 34 and 35 respectively. It's a fair old age, isn't it? For wingers especially, it's almost unheard of.
Yeah, definitely it is. It's very, very, it's against the grain about how it goes for a winger, I guess. So generally, and they're not the sort of players that can move into the midfield either, like central midfield, or into a new sort of position.
Giggs reinvented himself and had a bit more, but they're very much kind of. They are the wingers, as it were, which pure wingers, and have that lack of kind of variety to their positional play. But yeah, we're getting off on a massive tangent here.
It's the best way.
Anything else caught your eye? Because Michael caught my eye during the week. Before the Spurs Champions League match, I caught a little bit of Bruges versus Monaco, or Monaco versus Bruges, because Monaco were at home, but Thierry Henry is getting off to an emphatic start. They lost 4-0 to Bruges.
Yes. Yeah.
games. He has drawn 2 and lost 3. He is having a cracking start, isn't he?
I mean, I think I said when we discussed it before that Henri had been given the job, I think I said something along the lines of he's in a great position because if it goes badly, he can say this is the team I inherited, and if it gets better, he can say look what I've done as a manager. I'm pretty sure it's got worse since he took over.
Yeah, as I said, it can't get any worse.
Yeah, he's managed to come out of a no-win situation in a pretty as a loser sort of thing. It's sort of like, to fall into a barrel of lady bits and come out sucking his thumb sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's just I don't. Is it him? Is it just inherently in the club? I mean, the whole thing with the club is a mess, isn't it? The whole club is a mess.
It was a tough job, and when you appoint a Sky Sports pundit as your manager, I mean, it's not exactly aiming high for me. I think they could have actually a safe pair of hands in those situations, and I don't think it's for time to take a chance on someone.
Don't you think though they were going for the approach of okay, he doesn't have that much experience and he is a Sky Sports pundit, but it was they wanted the bounce of an ex world class player. He might not have been world class at Monaco, but he went on to be world class later on, and I think they wanted that bounce of look what just bring this guy in for a bit of character rather than a safe pair of hands. I think that's what they are after, and it just hasn't happened. And I mean, I saw a tweet. I think it was Paddy Power. Maybe they're quite funny with their tweets occasionally. Paddy Power, and they said, I think it's whoever's eyeing up Jamie Carragher for a management job should really think twice after Gary Neville and Thierry Henry. So, but yeah, it's
very true.
It is a mess, and as I said, the club, Monaco as a whole, in a mess. I think their owner has he got arrested or has he been questioned over some dodgy dealings or FPF financial fair play awards and stuff like that? It's all very, very strange. So
not a good time to be a Monaco fan, but then again, there aren't many of them.
No.
But decent week in the Champions League for our clubs, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Man United coming back from Juventus, getting a late 2-1 win in Mourinho time, as it's now been dubbed. I mean, I'm not too sure.
The first time that Juve have lost a home group game since 2009.
Wow. That's the magic of Mourinho, isn't it? That's the magic of Mourinho. I mean, I still don't want him as my manager, but why can't we do it for 90 minutes? Why? Why can't it be done for 90 minutes? Why do we have to go a goal down to Newcastle, Bournemouth and Juventus before we can actually go and win a game? But
you'd question his motivational skills, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it was a good performance. I still don't really understand what Szczesny was doing for our second goal, for our winner, because in my mind, I quite like Szczesny. I want to put this out there. I think he's done quite well since he's moved to Juventus.
Yeah.
And yeah, when he was at Arsenal, he was pretty poor. But since he's been at Juventus, when I've seen Juventus play, I think he's been quite steady. He's made some good saves. He's been a lot better with his hands than he was at Arsenal.
Do you reckon that's linked? He's got Chiellini, Bonucci, and Eto'o in front of him, and Allegri managing. And I think I still think he's substandard that Juve should be aspiring for.
Okay, interesting. Well, I was going to say, he's obviously learnt from Buffon as well. He had a season and a half under Buffon when Buffon was first choice and Szczesny was there. But I think any goalkeeper in the world would punch that cross when Ashley Young puts that free kick in. And I'm not too sure why Szczesny goes to sort of punch it and then makes his hands into it if he's going to save it and then just completely misses the ball and it hits Chiellini, then hits
everyone.
Sandro. Yeah, I think it hit Chiellini, then hit Pogba, then hit Sandro and goes in for an own goal. So yeah, I mean, that was really good. And then you guys, obviously, Spurs coming back as well. The Harry Kane showing he still got it. I don't think he ever lost it, really. But
yeah, now Champions League appearances, 13 goals. He can do it. Yeah, it was it was like a Europa League match when I remember back in the day, Spurs were, for some reason, absolutely mess it up, and then we have to bring on better players because we normally didn't take the Europa League seriously, and Harry Redknapp would have to bring on, Huddleston and Berbatov or something, and and it was just like that. We just absolutely swamped them for a match. We had something like 30 shots. It was just how we didn't score more and earlier is just beyond me. But yeah, a just result. Shame that Inter Milan picked up a point against Barca. We pretty much win every game and hope we've got to thrash Inter next week and hope Inter don't get something from the PSV and we get something from Barcelona. But I foresee us going to Europa League personally.
Yeah, I think that's a tough ask to go and get those sets of results, or all the results to go in your favour. I think it's a tough ask for that to happen. The only other thing in the news, obviously, I don't think we really discussed it last week. Wayne Rooney getting an international testimonial game is the best way I think I can describe it.
Make use of it, Dave. You broke it live in the podcast.
I did break it. Well, yeah, but it's been confirmed and everything now, hasn't it? Like Wembley's been confirmed.
It's been confirmed, yeah.
US are going to be playing, and the proceeds, the ticket sales aren't going to be going to his charity, which means I can't really understand why it's happening. Why? I understand he's like England's now all-time top goal scorer. He was a really good player for England most of the time. Loved to score against the lesser nations. Helped us qualify for loads of tournaments. Blah de blah de blah. But he's retired, so technically we're bringing him out of retirement to give him one more game in front of an English fans for charity. But the tickets don't go to ticket money doesn't go to charity. I'm so confused. I mean, is David Beckham going to come out of retirement and play? Steven Gerrard?
Yeah, it seems like are you starting a new trend? Is a new thing that you're going to do to honour people? But then where's the cut-off point? Because obviously testimonials, particularly 10 years. When do you judge to be worthy of something like this? And did he have that bad a send-off already? I don't know. It's a bit odd. My complaint now is that we've obviously had Callum Wilson getting a call-up.
Yeah, and he's not going to get a game.
And yeah, it's going to be Wayne Rooney, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an absolute, excuse my French, it's a piss take. I don't agree with it. I don't think it should happen. I don't see what makes him special enough to get it. Why doesn't, Jeff Hurst is still alive. He could probably kick a ball. He's won a World Cup. Why don't we give him a testimonial?
Yeah, let's honour him, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about it. So, yeah. Anyway.
Well, hey, yeah.
And did you also see, sorry Josh, sorry to interrupt you, just while we're talking about England's football, did you see what Phil Neville said about the ladies team? His captain,
I did not, go on.
Whose name escapes me at the moment, Steph Houghton, or Houghton I think it is. She's on 99 caps, and Phil Neville dropped her for an away game so that her 100th cap comes at home and she can get the support of the fans. Again, something I don't agree with. If she's your captain and she's your best player, you pick her. It doesn't matter where her 100th cap is.
Yeah, but players always get honoured for something like that when they return home. There's always a little presentation for a match because it happened last week or whatever. Yeah.
So I thought
she'll get an applause, and you can give an announcement for a match. She got a 100th cap last week. Let's give her a round of applause. Done.
Yeah.
You have to tie it in. Christ, what is this? Amateurish, that is.
Exactly. And I wanted to announce that and just say that that caught my eye in the news because ladies football, not many people might have heard of it or might have read up about it. So I thought I wanted to mention that and give it a bit of the airtime I think it deserved because it's a ridiculous decision.
All right. Yes. I have one more thing of news. You see, last week there was the Istanbul derby of Galatasaray versus Fenerbahce.
Yes.
One of my favourite things in football. There was a mass brawl at the end. Lovely. When it was announced the bans for players and managers because of it. So I'll read them off to you because this is quite impressive. Galatasaray. So Hassan Sass, the assistant manager, 8 games. Fatih Terim, the manager, 7 games. Ryan Donk, 6 games. Babadou Ndiaye, 5 games. Gary Rodriguez, 3 games. Mariano, 5,000 Turkish lira fine. And then a couple of warnings. Fenerbahce, Soldado, 6 games. Gileson, 8 games. They are stamping down.
that is some bans and a half. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see if they have an appeal process or anything in Turkey, or is it sort of you appeal, you get shot sort of thing. But it's
don't appeal. Yeah.
Don't appeal. Yeah, it's that is harsh. Well, I don't know. I haven't seen the brawl, but that is, like you say, stamping down.
It's hard to work out. It's really, they must have got VAR involved because it's very difficult to see what goes on. Because I obviously had a look to satisfy my desires, but couldn't really see what was going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So last thing, just because you mentioned Galatasaray and the Turkish derby, that reminds me of Jose Mourinho against Juventus did his ear cupping thing. Did you then see what Graham Souness's quote?
Mick McCarthy and Graham Souness.
Yeah. Graham Souness saying that'll start a riot, and Mick McCarthy turns around to him and just goes, "You put a was it a Galatasaray flag in the middle of the Fenerbahce pitch?"
Yeah. Who are you to talk?
Exactly. That's going to cause a riot, lad. But Anyway,
Yeah.
yeah. So there we go.
I've
Right.
got one last bit of news, which is really,
Oh,
really random. All right.
okay. Yeah.
So in my kind of, I do it every now and then. I get kind of embroiled in Wikipedia, and I was looking at the Liverpool page, and then I was looking at their backroom staff, and I noticed that a masseuse had a Wikipedia page. I thought that's very odd, because
Yeah,
normally
that
they'd
is
just
weird.
be blank text, and so Sylvan Richardson, their masseuse, he used to be, well, his starting line of his Wikipedia page is British guitarist, composer.
What
And so he was
is?
once a guitarist for Simply Red, but left after their second album because he became disillusioned with the industry. He then became a composer and worked with successful girl group Cleopatra, coming at ya. And then afterwards he trained to become a masseuse. He was then a masseuse to Sir Chris Hoy and is now Liverpool's masseuse and has been since 2010.
Oh my god, that is the weirdest like transition in jobs ever. And he must be a really
Yeah.
nice. He must be a really nice guy to be that successful in so many careers. He must have.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got some talent, yeah.
Yeah, magic hands on the guitar
yeah.
and magic hands in
Yeah.
the theatre room. That's not what I want to say.
Yeah,
the
he's,
therapy room.
those fingers can strum.
Hey, right. We'll end the news there then. We'll end the news there.
Yes, and right. So, as is tradition, we will then move on to the quiz of the week. So, it is Quiz Kamara time. I'm back in the hot seat, or the question master seat, and Dave's in the hot seat to answer, as well as you, our listeners. So,
I'm ready.
I've
I'm
been
prepped.
looking.
I'm ready.
I'm looking and thinking. There's not sackings so far this season. None, actually, in fact, and it's a very long time. It hasn't happened since 2011 when Bruce was sacked. This later on, that was 30th of November. So I thought, can you cast your mind back and name me the last 5 managers to be removed from their positions in the Premier League?
Oh wow.
All right.
Okay. Last 5 managers to be removed. So is this sacked or they left as well? They just left the
No,
job?
so last 5 managerial changes we'll go for.
Okay. Managers in Prem. Okay. De Boer.
No, Dave.
That's ages ago, isn't it? Because Roy Hodgson's been in for nearly the
Yeah,
whole season. Yeah.
he was the
Oh.
first manager sacked last season. He was
He
sacked
was.
after
Yeah,
like
he
a
was.
month. Yeah.
You also, I got the tinge of disappointment in your voice when I said, no, Dave, no.
Do you need me to repeat the question?
No, I've got it. Last 5 managers.
You got it. Okay.
I've got the question.
Well,
I've got
we'll-
the question. We'll come back
We'll
to it.
leave it there, and we'll
Yeah.
pick that up later on. So yeah, last 5 managerial changes in the Premier League. I mean, bonus points if you can tell me who replaced them.
Oh wow! Oh no, I'm not
Okay.
going to do that. I'm struggling enough just to think of the managers.
All right. Well, let's move into this week's Premier League action, which, unfortunately for us, has been split all wrong on the Saturday-Sunday split because of the higher level games. I'd say the top 6 was of interest. We had Spurs play, yet today we have yet to have Liverpool, Arsenal, Chelsea, Manchester City, Manchester United play. So yesterday was a little bit low on the quality front, and then it also ended with a fair few draws. So, but we're going to carry on.
Yeah.
We'll plough through these games, and first up we'll have Cardiff City versus Brighton and Hove Albion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched this. I watched this game,
Yeah.
and I thought it was very entertaining. Actually, I mean, it had some horrendous decisions. It had some very odd goals to be scored, to be honest. But I thought it was a very entertaining game for me to watch. Don't get me wrong. I would have much preferred a different game to be the early kickoffs that I could watch it in Singapore. But I did watch it, and I was pleasantly surprised by it. Have you got any thoughts?
Yeah, I thought Cardiff's game management was a bit poor because you would not have known, like in the second half especially, you would not have known that Brighton were down to 10 men because it was just so open. Cardiff were just leaving it open for a Brighton counter, and I thought Brighton were going to be able to counter at a point and nick a winner. But yeah, in the end, Cardiff created a few chances, and I would say their goal, I think Chris Hughton was right, their goal was offside in the first phase of play, the flick on to Bamba,
Yeah.
who then tried an audacious overhead kick, didn't he?
I love that. I applauded that. That was brilliant. That overhead kick. And then he got up and was quick enough to get up and not hold his head in his hands for hitting the post. He put the rebound in. What a striker. Get him up front.
Yeah, well, that's what Morrison's been doing, isn't he? He's been shoving him up front. It's just been old school ball. But I think Cardiff need to, in my head, well, and probably Neil Warnock said as well, is that Cardiff do the simple things right, but they're conceding so many goals early on. Against Tottenham, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Brighton now, they've conceded within the first 11 minutes of games. They've
Wow.
conceded they've conceded the first of the 12 games, and yesterday again, that first goal they conceded was so simple. It's really something that you can defend against. It wasn't great play by Brighton. It was simple stuff, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was just I don't know, it's just the whole game. Like the goal was pretty decent. Cardiff got back into it in the first half, and it looked you're from an okay goal. I mean, it's never going to be the best goal with Cardiff. It was put into the box and a good header, but they seem to struggle because they were against Newcastle as well, weren't they? And Newcastle went down to 10 men, and Cardiff couldn't get a winner, and then only didn't lose the game because Kennedy hit that horrendous penalty.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Why can't Neil Warnock play against 10 men? I mean, he'll use the old adage, 10 men are, it's sometimes tougher to beat 10 men. Well,
yeah.
Yes, but normally it's tougher when there's like 10 minutes to go and they bury down all the hatchets and things like that. This was
because I think one of the advantages you
go on
against 10 men is by making your extra man count with the possession, tiring them out, spreading them over the pitch. Whereas that's not the way Cardiff play at all, is it? They're almost lost with the ball at their feet. Like, oh God, we actually have to.
Yeah.
The game to them now. They're much more reactionary and quite narrow in their way of play. So I think that's what my thought would be why they don't particularly do well against 10.
Yeah, very true.
But
very true.
it was a good result for them. Squeeze the table up again. So Cardiff out with relegation zone now. Yeah, good result for them. And Brighton's poor away form continues aside that Newcastle result aside.
Yeah, very true. Next up, Huddersfield Town v West Ham.
Yes.
One apiece.
One apiece. And for a long time, Huddersfield going to get a result. The ex-Spurs player, Alex Pritchard, probably one of Huddersfield's brightest players, got first goal. That was a pretty weak goal. It was...
when I was watching it, I just didn't understand where Fabianski thought he was standing. Because he dives for it like he's standing on that post. As if, he dives when you see a goalkeeper sort of dive and then pull their hands back in and then give the signal of that's gone wide.
Like he thinks he's got it well within reach, yeah.
Yeah, it was sort of like I didn't understand where, he must know where he's standing. Because it wasn't hit quickly, it came through a defender's legs, but it wasn't hit quickly. It was a pretty tame shot, but yeah. It went in, so...
Two halves really, because I think Huddersfield had a good start to the game. Back into it. Philip Anderson again after his continuous good form. I mean, you look at watch back again. There's just not enough men on the line for Huddersfield. I think they had like 3 or 4 men on the line, and he still scored. It's just desperate stuff for them.
Yeah.
But yeah. So Huddersfield picking up points. Well, picking up a point. Cardiff picking up 3 points. And then we move on to Leicester versus Burnley. No goals in this match. 0-0, but. Dominated 63% possession, 22 shots to 6. It's first time this season Leicester have failed to score, and but it was Burnley's first clean sheet in 6, but also failed to score in the last 6. So I think it's probably ruined a few accumulators. The fact Leicester didn't get a goal and didn't get a win here. I'd have thought.
I agree. It probably did ruin a few accumulators. I think watching this on Match of the Day replay, it was. I don't know, Joe Hart seemed to have a really good game. And it seemed to be like the Joe Hart of old, where you thought he was going to be this world-class goalkeeper. And the stats you just said, sort of back that up, 22 shots or whatever you said it was. And yeah, he just seemed to make some really good saves. But I honestly thought Leicester were going to nick it with the Okazaki header at the end. It just sort of looped and looped and looped and looped and looked like it was going to drop in at the back post and just went wide. But it was more of a game of, I think there's a lot of emotion riding on that game, isn't there, with what's happened at Leicester, and how they performed it and everything like that. So I think you credit Leicester for still playing so well and just not managing to get the win. It's not going to be the end of their season, the fact they draw 0-0 with Burnley. So it was a good game.
Yeah.
It was okay. Joe Hart, for me, was man of the match, but I don't know who actually got it.
No. All right, moving on to another relegation battle for Newcastle this time. And we mentioned earlier weeks ago that Newcastle were in a run of games now where they can possibly pick up points, and they have done again. So this was forgotten man Solomon Rondon getting the points. Did you remember he was there? I'd completely forgotten. He bagged 2 yesterday, didn't he?
I did remember he was there, but purely because one of the guys that I play fantasy football with every week picks him and every week bemoans that he's rubbish. So he was delighted this week for him to get 2 goals. But Newcastle look pretty good. I mean, they looked shaky last sort of 10-15 minutes, but Newcastle they didn't look like a beleaguered team towards the bottom of the table. They looked quite free flowing and attacking and playing quite well. Yeah, I mean, Bournemouth struggled. Nathan Ake really couldn't handle Rondon, could he, in the game?
No, it's a bit of a mismatch. I always feel that
Yeah.
Ake is just a little bit too small for a centre back, and Rondon is quite a big, powerful man. And yeah, it is a mismatch there, isn't it?
It is, and it's a shame. I like Nathan Ake. I think he could be a very good defender, but like you say, he's just a little bit too short against a big sort of guy. So yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to see what happens. But yeah, Newcastle picking up wins and getting the results they need to be scrapping around the bottom of that table, and hopefully, if you're a Geordie, obviously, hopefully getting out of that position that they're in. And it's
basically so far it's a pretty poor weekend for Fulham, isn't it?
that's it. That's the summary. Yeah, it needs a pretty big miracle from Fulham to just stay in touch. Like you say, Cardiff, Huddersfield, and Newcastle all picking up points of some description. It's looking pretty bleak for Fulham, and obviously they lost to Huddersfield
away at Liverpool, aren't they?
and Fulham lost to Huddersfield, didn't they, Josh? In what I said.
They did. Phase 1 complete.
Yeah.
Although I had predicted a managerial change at this point, but I will take any managerial change before the international break, because obviously they're set to kick off against Liverpool. Liverpool have gone for Shaqiri, Mane, Firmino, so I do not foresee Fulham conceding anything less than God, I don't know. It's going to be. I think there'll be goals galore in this match.
I'll tell you what, it'll be one of those games, won't it? It'll be one of those games where it'll either be
0-0.
4-5-0 Liverpool, or Fulham will win it 1-0. Like somehow Fulham will win it 1-0. But I'm going.
I hope so. That'd be beautiful. I would love that.
Yeah, I'd love it. But I'm going with the former to say that Liverpool will win 4 or 5-0.
Yeah.
So
just a quick mention on another forgotten, and because of a Liverpool link, is Jordan Ibe. That man, he's really not pulled up any trees at Bournemouth, is he? And I think a few Liverpool fans may have questioned. Yeah, Liverpool fans may have questioned selling him, going a youth prospect, young player, but it really has done absolutely nothing at Bournemouth. I think he just frustrates the fans. Really, he's clearly a level below like Josh King and Junior Stanislas, and it's a bit worrying for his career, because he's going to move up from here. If he needs to quickly get his career back on track, or he's going to be transferred out to a.
Definitely. I mean, he missed this. I can't really call it a sitter, but there was one towards the end of the game at the back post, and it was a lovely. I think Dan Gosling, put a ball through to him, and he was basically 1-on-1, but from a tightish angle, and he just absolutely blazes it over the bar. It was absolutely horrendous, and you just sort of think, wow, that's what 15 million buys you, and I don't get it. He's rubbish. That's all I can say about Jordan Ibe.
He's not shown me anything.
No.
All right. So on to another relegation struggler. It's Southampton versus Watford. This ended 1-1, and Southampton's goal, another forgotten man. This is forgotten men central, Marco Gabbiadini. Remember his start for Southampton? He did the kind of the Amir Zaki start, where you score kind of 4 or 5 goals within your first kind of games, and people are like, oh, this is the player, and you go, I don't see it carrying on, and it hasn't carried on.
His fall from grace has been pretty spectacular, because in the cup final where Southampton played Man United for the League Cup, he was like, brilliant is a strong word, but he was very, very good in that cup final. Like, he scored for Southampton, he caused all sort of problems at the back, had a goal disallowed as well, which would have put Southampton, I think, 2-0 up at the time. And it was it's just, and then he just sort of disappeared into the wilderness, and you never heard anything about him, and then he comes back and scores against Watford. I mean, that's not the talking point though, is it, Josh? That is not what people want us to talk about. They all want us to talk about Charlie Austin.
Charlie Austin giving a very honest post-match interview, didn't he? Do you want to talk us through it, Dave?
Well, it was just you can use 2 words I'd use to describe it: anger or passion, and it was very much more leaning towards anger, I think. First off, and no disrespect to... Well, I'll say no disrespect to Charlie Austin. He's not going to listen to this podcast. If he does, come and be a guest on it. We'll sit you down with whoever it is we said previously that would be guests on the show. Um,
Stuart
but
Taylor.
Stuart Taylor, that was the one. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
I don't know. Charlie Austin's a lot more chavvy than I ever realised. Hearing him talk and things like that, a lot more chavvy. A very angry chav is what I saw when he was doing that talk. But anyway, it was I can't remember how it all started, but basically Charlie Austin has a shot. I think it's a cross that comes in because Yoshida's still up there. From
Yeah,
the
laid
corner or
back.
something.
Nathan Redmond does a man on the right wing, lays it back to him, and lays to the edge of the box. There's lots of players in front of him, and he fires a goal in. Unfortunately for him, I think this is a less less a kind of issue than when Spurs had. I described Spurs' offside goal in the Champions League against PSV a few weeks back. But there's I can't know which player it is. There's a player in an offside position near the path of the ball where it goes. So I think the referees had judged him to be interfering, and it's just a bit absurd, really. It is wrong.
It's just,
and it's just the pressure's already telling on Southampton a bit, I think, there.
Yeah, I think when you see the replay from when it's the behind the goal view, and you see just how far it is away from Yoshida, it's like, how have they got that wrong? How have they possibly got that decision wrong? Because it's nowhere near him, and he I know Yoshida's body motion makes it look like he's tried to like move out the way, and he has got out the way of it, but he's never. I don't think it was going to hit him anyway, even if he stood still. And he wouldn't have been interfering with play because the goalkeeper, Ben Foster, had a clear sight of the shot. It was just a shocking, absolutely shocking decision. Absolutely. And then, obviously, what made it worse is that, Southampton, not worse, but the whole sort of refereeing decisions in that game, Southampton really should have been down to 10 men. Because that challenge from Ryan Bertrand, was it right? Yeah, Ryan Bertrand, who was already on a yellow card in the box to give away a penalty, would have been a second yellow, and that would have been down to 10 men. So it was just an all-round pretty poor refereeing performance. No, it's not a poor refereeing performance. That penalty decision was, but the ref was clearly told by the linesman that Yoshida touched the ball. So I don't like the fact that the ref's getting a lot of flack for that. It should be the lino, because it was a terrible decision.
And I just want to say I feel the pressure's telling on Southampton, because that kind of reaction, they kind of realise that they're in trouble a bit. They're scrambling around for other things, and it doesn't bode well for them. And I think we've said to Hughes, I think the Hughes' time is limited, but it's just no one's fixed the Southampton goal scoring problems. They're so woeful in front of goals, so many shots, and so few goals as a return. It's really poor, and. Charlie Austin scored goals at clubs before. Gabbiadini scored goals at clubs before, and Danny Ings has scored goals. But it's just, I don't know. They're a better side than where they are now, but I still don't think whether they can get a better manager in, or they can just get that new manager bounce to help them. I'm not sure really. There needs to be more investment. I mean, they're unfortunate how many great players they've lost over the years. Haven't fully replaced them, obviously, but.
Yeah,
I mean, it's tough to do, but I see Southampton kind of languishing around this point for a few years now at best.
I struggle. Yeah, like you say, I struggle to see where they're going to, or how they're going to change it. Like how there's just something seems fundamentally wrong at Southampton since they lost Pochettino. Really, it's all gone pretty pear shaped, and it doesn't look positive for them. It'll be interesting. We've got a friend, don't we, who supports Southampton. It'll be very interesting. I haven't spoken to him in a while, so it'll be very interesting to see how he's feeling about it. Because when they originally appointed Hughes, I think he was, happy with the decision-ish to appoint him, and then
he was
give him
after
the
he did what he kept him up. Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see his thoughts on it now. I don't know if you're in contact with him back in the UK much. But...
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday, and he's pretty down about it because it's a pretty bleak situation.
Okay, well, yeah, interesting. So the next game then. Go on, take it away, Josh. It's your team, your Spurs.
So this was Crystal Palace versus Tottenham, and I've always been a little bit wary playing Palace. They've got some good players, but I was quite happy to see that Zaha was outside, and so they lined up without their best player, which was always good to see. And then also a surprise in the Spurs lineup, but we were lining up with Juan Foyth playing in. Obviously, last week we discussed he had a good game, but gave away 2 penalties, so it was really nice to see Mauricio Pochettino put him back in the side, have that show of faith, and it paid off. It was reasonably even game. I think we probably edged things overall, created a few better chances, a little bit more favourable, because basically Crystal Palace, similar to Southampton, don't have anyone who can score goals. They've just, I mean, you've got Benteke there, you've got Connor Wickham as a player, but you've got IU, you've got they played Max Meyer, they've got Andrews Townsend as attacking players. They're not goal scorers, and it's just create as much as you want. They're not going to be finding a target. So it was. I mean, the biggest risk we had was from set pieces, and I think Tompkins had a chance, but Spurs' goal it came from Wan Foyth. So I think most Crystal Palace fans will be fuming with Jordan Ayew here because
what
the ball.
Is he doing? Yeah, what is he doing?
He just bottles it, doesn't he? Completely, just going like the ball's bouncing around a penalty area, and there's only one player who wants to win that, and it's not Jordan Ayew. He just kind of stands there while Foyth just steps up and booms a header past him.
If you see the replay, Jordan Ayew sets himself to volley it away. It's like, when does that go through your mind when you're in your own 6-yard box to volley it if you can just get your head on it? It's like, I don't get it. I just don't get it. But yeah, they must have been absolutely fuming with him, as you say, the Palace fans, because it was a very avoidable goal to concede, and it was. But yeah, I mean, you say you're wary of Crystal Palace. Yeah, as soon as you see Zaha's not in the team, like you say, it's a nailed-on win really for whoever they're playing if Zaha's not in Palace's team, because they can't win unless Zaha plays. So
yeah. Basically, but the worrying thing for me overall is that I feel like Hodgson's got to be under pressure now, because he obviously came in after De Boer and it coincided with Zaha coming back into the side. Zaha's been in the side and they still find themselves down there, and I would be starting to think that Hodgson's time may be up if things don't improve soon as well.
But who's a bit of a tangent? Who's out there to replace him?
I was thinking for a poll for next week. I was thinking who's going to be next to find themselves back in the Premier League. Is it going to be Tony Pulis? Is it going to be Alan Pardew? Or is it going to be Big Sam Allardyce? But
I like
obviously,
that. Yeah, get that poll out.
Yeah.
We'll do that next week.
Yeah, Palace have exhausted those options.
that's very true. Yeah, that is very true. Okay, well, we'll leave the review for Saturday's game.
Oh wait, hold on. I just want one last thing. I just want to say one last thing. I want to shout out to Moussa Sissoko, because he actually played and has done for the last month really well, and he's really starting to kind of. I'm trying to warm on him, because he's showing that he's almost a footballer, and it's really quite nice to see.
Hang on, you're happy? You want to give him a shout out because he's showing he's almost a footballer, so he's getting paid
almost. He's
70 grand.
He's doing a lot of things right,
if not more, to almost do his job properly. Brilliant. I wish I could go into work and get paid like all my salary to nearly do my job really well. So. Right, we'll leave it there because we're eating into time. So
yes, we are, and so we'll move on to obviously the split between review and preview. So we have a few games going today. There's one game in particular I want to get one man's thoughts on. We have the Manchester derby. Manchester United, or Manchester City, should I say, versus Manchester United kicks off later on today, and Man United have got a decent record against City, really. I mean, you stopped them from winning the title last year, and you've obviously in better form yourselves, winning. I think you're winning your last three, including Juve. So, what do you reckon? How do you reckon this is going to go, Dave?
Man City are going to absolutely destroy us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm not positive about it. I think they're going to have a lot of sort of revenge on their mind for last season when we were 2-0 down and came back to win 3-2 with Pogba getting a brace and Smalling scoring. I just think Guardiola's the sort of manager, he'll just be reminding them of that all the time, and they'll be in there that, you know, we're much better than Man United. They're like, Man City are first, Man United are 8th, and I think Guardiola's got a lot of ammo at his disposal to get his players fired up for this game, which you could argue they shouldn't really need firing up, but it's interesting. I mean, today I've been reading in the news that there's going to be no Pogba or Lukaku in Man United's lineup. We'll have to see if that has any truth to it, which is interesting. Yeah. I mean, Lukaku, you can understand, we've been playing pretty well without him, and he's had a little knock apparently, but yeah, apparently Paul Pogba picked up a little injury in training on Friday, and he might be missing the game, and yeah, I know it's it's an interesting one. I think this is the sort of game that is sort of made for Paul Pogba. So if he's available, you would definitely pick him. I just want. You know what? I think we're going to get beaten anyway. I think Man City will win the game. But what I want us to do is go out there and play like we did against Juve in the second half. Go out there and play like we did against Newcastle in the second half. Go out there and just be like, let's play against them how they don't want us to play, sort of thing. I know that's terrible English, but like Liverpool always push Man City hard because they press them. They don't allow them just to have the ball. Because if you give Man City the ball, they'll pass you to death, and they will just wait and wait and wait for you to make a mistake and cut you open. And I think Spurs have recently done pretty well against Man City, if I remember rightly. And they played Spurs played quite a high pressing game as well. I just think let's go and give it a go. Let's just not go there and sit back and park a bus and have 3 centre backs and have a back 5 whenever we're defending, and have a or a back 6 if you're going to drop McTominay into centre back like Mourinho's been known to do. But I don't know. I'm not upbeat about it. I don't know. It's Mourinho. It's a big game. Anything could happen.
I was about to say it's just don't lose is basically his mantra, isn't it? It's
I know,
and him going to a high press, trying to attack someone that sounds completely foreign to him. I'm looking at the Premier League table here, and say you lose today, that puts you 7 points adrift from Spurs, who are in 4th.
Yeah.
Is that a concern?
Yeah, it's not a concern that it's Spurs in 4th and we're 4th.
No, is that a concern that you're 7 points adrift from the top 4? Is that?
Yeah, well,
is that a real concern, or do you think there's plenty of time left, there's plenty of games to go, or are you actually thinking?
No, I think it's a concern. I predicted Man United to finish outside the top 4 this season, so it's sort of I didn't predict us to be down in 8th. I predicted us to be higher up than 8th, but I think it is a concern. 7 points off 4th place. If Arsenal beat Wolves, then we're 6 points off 5th place. We're 6 points off the UEFA League, and with how the top 4-5 teams perform at the moment, so Man City down to Arsenal, it's going to be. You don't see them dropping points. They play badly, and Tottenham didn't play brilliantly against Crystal Palace, and they still got the win. Liverpool could play badly against Fulham, and they're likely still to win. Chelsea will play badly against Everton, and okay, that's a pretty tough game, but you'd say Chelsea are going to get a win, and it is a concern. It is a concern, but
if Everton get a result there, they could put you down to 9th.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. So it is a concern. It's just trying to. It's sort of what I expected, I guess, is what I'm getting at.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not confident for the game at all.
All right. Well, so your prediction, actual scoreline prediction, then, Dave?
My actual scoreline prediction is 2-1 Man City, but I think they're going to completely play us off the park. Like, our goal will be against the run of play, and Man City could be one of those games where it should be like 4, 5, 6. I'm so negative about it. It's unreal.
All right. Well, we shall wait and see.
What about you? Hang on. What about you? Hang on. What about you? What's your score prediction?
I have a hope that it will be a massive Man City win.
Okay, fair enough. That's enough. You don't have to go into details. That's enough. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Right.
So we'll leave it there then, because we have eaten into quite a lot of the time for today's podcast. So we're going to the wiki files. I need a wiki files. You got a wiki file. I got a wiki file for you. Hey, right. I've just sent Josh over my wiki file for today. Is he gonna get it in a quick? Wow. Hopefully it won't be as quick as previously. I quite enjoyed the manager one that we did. I hope you guys listening did as well. It was a bit of a change to our usual schedule. But Josh, talk us through what you've got.
So we're looking at Barry Ferguson here.
You absolute git. How have you got that so quickly? I hate you. I really do hate that.
So we have... do you know Barry Ferguson played in central midfield with Gattuso at Rangers? What a weird central midfield that is.
I know, yeah, I know. And Gattuso,
you know what? I don't remember Barry Ferguson playing for Blackburn.
I do, and that's why I picked him in this wiki files, because that's where I remembered him playing in the Premier League.
He didn't like it very much, because he went back to Rangers and pretty much played the same amount of time there again. But then I remember him at Birmingham City. That's where I really remember him.
Yeah, I remember him playing at Blackpool a little bit, but Blackburn was where it was.
I imagine throughout this time I reckon he still lived in exactly the same place each time. he commuted. I'm going to look for because obviously Rangers Scotland, Blackburn up in Lancashire, Birmingham obviously Midlands, uh,
Blackpool up north.
Blackpool,
Yeah.
Lancashire, Fleetwood, Lancashire, yeah, Clyde, Scotland. So I think he never ventured very far south, did he? But he was a decent player, wasn't he?
Well, it's
It
good.
was all
Yeah.
right. It was.
Gattuso, when he played with Gattuso, said he was an incredibly talented player, and that was from Gattuso telling him that. So, yeah, I mean, well, you've ruined that, haven't you? What a quick wiki files again. How have you got that quickly? That is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
So I don't know really. I saw Birmingham and Rangers, and I thought, right, I'm thinking of Scottish players played for Birmingham, and I could only think of Barry Ferguson, basically.
Oh,
There we go.
damn.
Sorry,
you, Josh.
guys. Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even score for Birmingham. 0 goals in 72 was meant to confuse you a little bit. That's a
He was
defender.
kind of on a wind down there. He played a much
Yeah.
deeper role rather than his kind of box to box. He was at Rangers, but
Yeah. Well,
what's he doing now? What's he doing nowadays?
I have no
Is he
idea.
in management?
I doubt it. Oh yeah, he is. He is in management. He became Blackpool caretaker manager in 2014. Then went on to manage Clyde after his one appearance for them. He was a player manager. Josh, he was a player manager
Yes.
for Clyde.
Lovely.
He gave himself one game for Clyde, and he was manager there for 3 years, from 2014 to 2017. Sorry, that's me being in Singapore too long. 2014 to 2017. And he now manages a team called Keelty Hearts. Which is...
Oh, that's got to be a non-league Scottish side, isn't it?
It certainly looks like it, yeah. Their nickname is the Jambos. They play in the Lowland League, and they got promoted last season? Yeah, they did. From the East of Scotland League. So there you go. He's
He's plugging his way. He's not afraid to start at the lower end or go down low. So yeah, we'll see if we see Barry Ferguson.
Yeah, you can argue that he's dropped down quite low. I mean, Blackpool are better than Clyde, and Clyde are better than Kilty Hearts. So it's not going brilliantly
Yeah, but he's
well
only
for him.
caretaker, permanent job. But yeah, Clyde is I suppose he's a little bit higher up. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
so-
League 2, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, League
Alright,
2.
well.
Yeah. Right, there we go then. So that was the wiki files, done and dusted. Thanks for that, Josh.
Yeah. So we'll move on to the poll we put out this week, and it was me. I put out the poll this week because you know what, I was reading quotes from Max Allegri after United beat Juve, and he was saying one of the reasons that United didn't in the first game didn't have Fellaini, and this game they did have Fellaini. And I was like, yeah, you know what, Fellaini does make an impact when he comes on a sub. So I thought, which United player has been the best sub? So I posed the question: you are Man United manager, and you need a goal. Who do you bring on? You have 3 players at your peak to choose from. Obviously, you could then afford a different option, but no one did. But you could choose Ole Gunnar Solskjaer to come on. You could choose Javier Hickerito Hernandez, or you could choose Marouane Fellaini. Who did you choose to bring on, Dave?
You know who I pick. You know who I picked to bring on. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
You're a big fan of Fellaini, aren't you?
I am a big fan of Fellaini, but I picked Ole Gunnar Solskjaer because the man's a hero. That's what his job was. Super sub. He was the baby-faced assassin. You need a goal, you bring on Solskjaer, he'll get you a goal. Like, he'll change the game. Solskjaer is forever in my memory as a super sub.
Okay, but I'll pose this question to you now. You're Jose Mourinho in Jose Mourinho's current side, and you have these 3 players available. Do you think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would have the same impact he would do now playing in a Jose Mourinho side compared to an Alex Ferguson side?
No, he wouldn't, obviously. But I'm not Jose Mourinho. I wouldn't be playing the sort of
No,
football
but
that
I'm
he's
just
playing.
thinking like, when you're posing this question, you remember Solskjaer playing under a very kind of expansive Ferguson side and able to score goals, but
I think
is he a benefit of the system?
because when he brings Fellaini on, he brings him on and just shoves him up, and we play long balls. We've already got Lukaku that could win a header, could win the knockdown down. So you could still play Chicharito or Solskjaer next to Lukaku for a knockdown. But the way the plan B is at United, Solskjaer wouldn't do what Fellaini does. But Fellaini doesn't score the goal. He just causes havoc, and I think there's enough players you could do that with who aren't Fellaini. Like, you could probably just shove Matic up there. He's tall. He'd challenge for a header. I know Fellaini brings his aura around it because of all the elbows.
Fellaini knows what he's doing now. Fellaini's so physically strong. You know, like he's powerful. He's obviously got a massive hair, so I mean, he can't even see the ball coming because you got that hair in your way. It's distracting. But yeah, he's. I actually chose Fellaini because I thought no matter which system you got, I think Fellaini would be able to make the impact because he's a special team player, isn't he? He's unique. He doesn't know every manager would be able to use him.
Well, that's an interesting thing to say because, like, the manager turnover we've had at United, and Fellaini continually gets picked and consistently plays for them. All the fans, a lot of fans, I don't. I think he is quite effective at what he does, but a lot of the fans moan about him. But he obviously does something to impress the managers and gives you that different option. So,
Is that potential of, oh yeah, we'll keep him around because you never know. I might need a goal and I can get it from him, and you don't have to do anything unique. He's beyond football. He's beyond tactic in himself, isn't he? So
true.
Yeah.
But I think if we go back to the poll, obviously 65% of people said Solskjaer. So I think that's more.
But I do feel that is somewhat the bias of how they saw him perform. But I mean, that is the poll. He won. So well done, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Who, I mean, talking about players and management, he wasn't exactly successful in England, was he?
No, that was a terrible situation in Cardiff, wasn't it, that he had? He gave the world Cornelius up front, and Cornelius never scored.
Cornelius up front, yeah.
Never scored. I was looking at Cornelius for the wiki files. Doesn't register, didn't play 30 games, so can't have him. But yeah, okay. I think the poll was a good poll. It was interesting to see you put that out, actually. Obviously, we discuss off air who's going to do polls and what our thing we're talking about, and you sort of just pulled that one out of thin air, and it was interesting, and it got a good number of votes as well. For a channel and a podcast our size, it was good to see quite a lot of interaction on it. So, yeah, very nice, very nice.
Excellent. All right, when that poll is over, and now we coming nearing the end of the podcast, we have the quiz answers. So I'll go back to you, Dave. How have you done? Remind you. You had to name the last 5 managerial changes in the Premier League because we're yet to see a sacking this season. As at recording, no one's been sacked. I think there will be in the next week because it's the international break.
Yeah.
But currently, no one has been sacked. So who are the last 5 managers to lose their jobs?
So, because it's managerial changes and it's not sackings and stuff, I've got a list of 5 names. I've got 5 people, and it's all people that were in a job and then got replaced at the end of the season or like in the window or something like that because their contract weren't renewed. Now I'll go in with the obvious ones, which is like Arsene Wenger being replaced by Unai Emery.
Correct.
Yeah. Antonio Conte being replaced by Sarri.
Correct.
David Moyes being replaced by Pellegrino.
Pellegrini. I'll give you that.
Pellegrino's a really nice tasting lemonade.
And he's also was the Southampton manager.
Yeah. Then it's quite an interesting one. The one I've got there next is Marco Silva, because I'm pretty sure he moved to Everton from Watford.
So who did he replace?
Allardyce.
Yes, that's 4 out of 5. So you got one last one.
And it's Marco Silva again.
All 4 of those.
Because Marco Silva
left.
No.
No.
Did he not? Oh, I thought it was...
No.
He left Watford.
So this one was actually well, not a sacking. It was derived as mutual consent. But this one happened during the season. And the man who came in did very well and has still got the job and is doing very well again, but didn't manage to keep him stave off relegation. So, with those clues, do you know who?
Oh wow!
Who I'm talking about, Dave?
He's doing a good job now in the champ. Well, this is showing up my lack of championship knowledge at the moment. I'm gonna have to say no. I don't know who you're talking about. Who's doing well at the moment?
So they're currently, I think they're probably top scorers in the league in the Championship. They got relegated last year. You would not have put them being top scorers. And this is an ex-player. West Brom, yeah. Do you remember the player? Who did they sack?
Super Darren Moore, isn't it? Is it Darren Moore? Who did they sack?
Super Darren Moore is the now manager. And who is...
Oh, who did they sack?
Who did he
Tony Pulis.
Absolute... No, he's got his old guard of Premier League managers confused. It was Alan Pardew.
Oh, damn it. I got 4. Alan Pardew.
4 out of 5, 80%.
Yeah.
He passed, but
I'll take it, yeah. It's a pass.
Not a clean sweep.
No, that was a good quiz, Josh. That got me really thinking because I had to really rack my brain about who left in the summer and stuff, and who just didn't get a contract renewed and things like that. And oh yeah, manager merry-go-round, love them.
Okay, right, and when we next speak, we'll have some managerial sackings to talk about. I have no doubt about. But on that note, we have an international break in the club competition next week. We also have an international break for us, so we will not be putting out a podcast next week. We'll be having a break of ourselves. You'll hear us again in 2 weeks' time.
Yes,
But
we'll have a lot to discuss.
You can find us on YouTube, search Football Talk, and on SoundCloud at Football Talk, and you can also find us on Twitter. But what do you have to search, Dave?
It's Football Talk, but there's no A in football.
Correct, because some man has already got that handle.
Yeah, I know, and they haven't sent a tweet out since what, like 2011 or something? Oh,
Yeah.
frustrating. Well, Josh was up in arms to the Twitter police, and they just ignored him. So
Ignored me, yeah.
But yeah, so as Josh said, we're taking a week off, which is good. It's purely just because neither of our schedules work, and it happens to fall with an international week, which is great for us. So we're not going to miss discussing the Premiership, which is our bread and butter on this podcast.
Yeah, it is throughout the week, and obviously if anything major comes up, we'll be discussing it via Twitter. But until then, say goodbye, Dave.
Goodbye, everybody.
And goodbye. We'll see you next time.